and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Thursday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Mr. DJ Yoakley. And wow, what a week we've had on. We've had a couple of debuts of live coaches' corners and player profiles last night, both at Sam Wedge Inn and the Post Office Pub. DJ, you were in Middle Ridge for that one. What was your kind of debut there like?
Yeah, so it was packed. I mean, I learned really, really quickly, Ant, that people care a lot about Mineral Ridge sports, and if you care about Mineral Ridge, easy for me to say, if you care about Mineral Ridge sports, the Post Office Pub is the place to be on Wednesday nights because that place was jam packed. It was elbow to elbow. Everybody was hushed while Jake and I were talking. I let Jake just kind of carry the baton, and he did a wonderful job of the interviews with Coach Shaner and all the boys there. And you know, they want us back. So we're excited to have round 2 next Wednesday, and hopefully they're on out. Sounds like we're going to get some volleyball players and coaches next week. So I'm excited for that.
It was so awesome watching that because, you know, you would never know that was the first time Jake had been in that kind of setting. Like, he'd been doing games for us for a while, but that's the first time he'd done like the live show interview type setting. And that can be different, you know, for people. But he was a veteran. He really knocked it out of the park. I can't commend him enough.
Yeah, it was I don't want to sound like it's easy work, but it's not challenging as long as you have topics to talk about, you know. And we let like almost everybody do those if they want to do them, but you know, there's time constraints. Obviously, we know. Excuse me. There's you know, there's different kinds of things and obstacles, but these businesses are salivating for these because number one, I'll just be transparent. It costs $100 a week to do it if you're a business. So if you've got $100 of a budget and you want to do a team that's not already taken, that's what it's costing you in most situations. And, you know, we give a certain amount of that to the announcer for taking the time out of their schedule and breaking it down because there's a little prep that goes into it. And most times, you know, outside of myself, I believe is I think Richie and Romo because they don't really have anybody. Maybe they might get Quinn. Are you with them on Wednesdays? Okay, he is with them on Wednesdays. So outside of myself, there's always a little bit of help to go with it. So I kind of ride solo, like Han Solo on these because, you know, everybody else is either doing games or doing their own interviews. But it really is a great experience, something we've wanted for a very long time. And again, another piece that we've kind of pulled out of the professional as well as the collegiate and brought it down to the very local level. And I'm very proud of it. And I know one guy that is extremely proud of it is our own Steve Leslie.
Yeah, we'll segue right into him because he got to debut Fitch's live coaches' corners and player profiles at Sam's Wedge Inn, and got the chance to watch those last night. And it was episode 1 of Coach's Corner with TJ Parker, and he's always a great coach to talk to. But it felt like he got to be a little bit more. We got to see a little bit more of his identity shine through. That it was a live interview and it was in a spot where you can talk to him, you know, right next to him. It was a good feeling. I really like those Fitch interviews, and I really like these live interviews. Watching all of them, I think you get just a little bit different, aspect of these kids and these coaches when you are right next to them talking. Not saying it's bad to do what we do and do the the remote interviews, those have their place, but I think there's a little bit of a different flair and a different kind of feel to an interview when you're right next to the person.
I think it's always different whenever that person's in the room. I mean, you got to look that person in the eye. You have to have a conversation. You know how awkward it was, to start these kind of like what we're doing right now, because you can't see necessarily all the things, the mannerisms, the gestures. You can't feel the tension. You can't feel the love necessarily over a Zoom call. But we as a civilization have learned that Zoom's the easiest way to do things. We can get on with ourselves, but Steve's been a guy, and I certainly back him 100%, that it's always better to do in person if you can. And these interviews are just a perfect representation. Like you said, I love these Zooms because it's very, very easy and it's very, very put together. And with what we do with StreamYard, it's still a professional quality. Whereas, again, when you're in that room, like I was last night at Mineral Ridge and Legends on Tuesday nights, you can feel like there was a mother in tears last night because we were talking about her baby boy. And that's something that we wouldn't be able to witness otherwise. I don't know if people cry when they see their kids on these, unless they send us a message. But I saw it. I witnessed it last night. It was phenomenal. And the interaction with parents after and coaches and supporters of these different teams is great, because you get to know people a little bit. They get to know you. Like, people thought I was just like a production assistant last night, and it was kind of cool, kind of blending into the background a little bit. Since I feel like I'm always on, I get tired of my own voice. So it was nice to see Jake really step up to the plate and crack a home run without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, those will be every Wednesday at the Post Office Pub. Coach Brian Shaner, football players, and then sprinkle in other sports too. Like you said, next week might see some volleyball players in there. Ron Lesko might make an appearance, and he's a great coach down there for the Middle Ridge program. Fitch will. I know Steve is adequate about getting a representation from all the sports as well with the ones he does. So wouldn't be surprised if you see Fitch from other sports outside of football and those live interviews from Sam's Wedge in as well. We want to thank both those places for being open to letting us into the door. And we always want to remind anyone out there that is interested in being a home of a team to go to ysnlive.com/advertise, fill out that form there. And we'd love to get a hold of you and to work something out where we can be your spot to be a home for your community team.
Now, don't forget, Hackett's tonight. We have Coca's on Wednesdays, Legends on Tuesdays. And I think that's it.
Golden Dawn on Tuesdays.
Golden Dawn, excuse me. Yeah, Golden Dawn. Don't let me forget about that. I mean, Johnny Naples has been awesome. So even though he's been elusive of trying to get an interview.
I was telling Richie yesterday, because we were looking before we went on the air, and I said, man, this Johnny Naples one has been created for a while. It's 2 weeks we've tried to get him, but man, he's a busy guy, and we respect
when
that
place
completely.
Is slammed, like I heard it was like sold out capacity, like nobody else was allowed in. Steve Leslie brings a crowd, man, always. Right. And now YSN's kind of getting that tag is when we come in, because everywhere I go, okay, Tuesdays at Legends we're supposed to be slow. Tuesdays at Golden Dawn we're supposed to be slow. Wednesdays at the Post Office Pub and Sam's Wedge, it's slow nights. These places have been packed, like jam-packed. Again, like I said, elbow to elbow. And it brings a smile to my face. But more importantly, it brings a smile to the faces of the coaches, the players, and most importantly, the business owners that are trying to obviously push revenue. I mean, 2020 is over, folks. Get out and support these local businesses because these local businesses need your support. They need you out there buying their food, using their services, whatever it may be. And we've been an advocate for that since we began.
I just wonder how many of these owners were prepared for a full night, like on the debut. Like they probably thought, oh, bring Myosin in a slow day. We'll have more room. We'll have, more workers free. We can cater to them and whatever they need. And then all of a sudden they pop in and it's like, yeah, everybody's here. We're in for a busy night, boys.
Well, the one thing that I'm going to tell you is they're always so gracious. And basically it boils down to, okay, if you're on the show, you're going to get free food. You're going to get comp food, which I love. I think that is such a great gesture. Doubling down in the community, saying, hey, if you're here, you're promoting our business. You're promoting the school. We want to pay. And that's something that we try to do, but we don't push it hard. So if these businesses don't want it, I understand. Sometimes it's tough. I mean, I was watching the Today Show today, and they're saying we're getting ready for a recession of some sort. So it's one of those things where it's tough because those comp tickets add up over the course, not only of a week, but over the course of, 10 shows or, however many weeks they want to do this. So thanks to them, and make sure, make sure you're tipping your waitresses and waiters and the staff, because they work so hard, especially when we build in these shows. And I mean, there's 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, sometimes 100 people that are rolling in deep. That's a lot of people to be serving all at one time. That is a lot. So thanks again to all these great businesses. And again, like you said, Ant, if people want to be part of it, they want to jump on board and get on the mothership, no problem. ysnlive.com/advertise.
Yeah, and what I liked about one of the post office pub, they had food out there during the interviews almost as like props. So you can look at what's on their menu during those interviews, and it was almost like watching it. You're like, you're making me kind of hungry now.
Well, that's what it was.
Out there.
That's exactly what it was. They said, hey, do you mind if we put food out? I said, nope, not at all. They're like, what do you want? I said, I'm going for the Valley Burger. And the Valley Burger is, I got to be honest, it's a really good burger. The actual meat of it. And then there's macaroni and cheese and bacon. And you can add whatever you want on it. But I didn't get home last night probably till 8:30. I didn't eat the burger. Like, I fell asleep on the couch. And then I woke up and was like, man, I'm really hungry. I wonder why. Well, it's because I hadn't eaten since lunch at noon or whatever it was. So at 10:30, I'm eating a cheeseburger, it was delicious. Still good. Even though it was cold, it was already in the Oakley family fridge. But it was still delicious. All I added was ketchup, and it was awesome.
When I look at it, what was the Valley Burger we were talking about yesterday? So it was a burger, but then it had bacon and macaroni and cheese in it too?
Yeah, so you had your bacon, and then macaroni and cheese was like the quote-unquote cheese, right? That's the Tristan Valley Burger. So they call it the Valley Burger because he works there part-time. And obviously he's the quarterback of this wonderful 5-1 team. And here's the other thing. I got to confess. I kept saying that these teams were 4-1 yesterday. I even think that I said it on WFMJ, which it'll air tonight. I feel so bad. I'm still stuck in week 6 and we're in week 7. So 2 5-1 teams playing tonight or playing tomorrow. And Tristan Valley leading the charge. But Ian Erb is, I got to meet him live and in person last night. Kid's got over 800 yards rushing, 13 touchdowns. It's incredible.
Chris Sigler bringing up the importance of the social media marketing that this brings to these establishments. And I think social media is kind of overlooked sometimes by people that don't get it or, don't understand it, but it can really boost an establishment's kind of marketing. And that's one of the things that we also strive to do.
Well, as a social media director, Ant, we have over 10,000 people that like us on Facebook alone. Then you look at our Twitter. Our Twitch isn't so good. I'm going to be honest. Our Twitter, our YouTube channel has over 2,000. And then obviously YSN is killing it. Those numbers that we always post are just on our website. They have nothing to do with our social media. You can probably double that number if you added our social media together with how many hits. And because our social media is one of the most active social medias there is. I know when I get up, it's share. Same
with me.
And yeah, you're on the same boat. And sometimes we share the same thing twice. And people are like, well, wait a minute, you already put this out. Well, Anthony and I don't sit there and go, hey, I'm going to do this. You're going to do that. I'm going to do, you just go. And it's
just go
with 60 some teams. It's always in motion because we're basically the hype machine for every one of those teams. And like Siggy said, when you're doing those live shows or the social media presence is huge. I mean, we had, I think it was over 1,000 people tune in collectively on social media and on the website last night to the Mineral Ridge show. I think there was over 2,000 for Fitch, which makes sense because Fitch is significantly bigger than Mineral Ridge, even though they're right down the street from each other. And I know that Ursuline always puts up big numbers, and South Range as well on Tuesdays. So Coca's, I haven't looked at the numbers yet, but I know they're big. Because Canfield, a lot of people wanted to hear what Coach Pav had to say with Richie about not having a game this week and still having homecoming. So again, these are awesome. This is a dream come true. Like to have a live show with a live audience, something I've always wanted to do. And last Tuesday, if I'm being dead honest with you, there was a part of me that soaked it up. We always ask the question, do you ever, if you're on the field, do you ever turn and look at the crowd? Last Tuesday night, I turned and I didn't have to turn. They were right in front of me. And it was a surreal moment. I was with one of the players and looking, and Coach Yeagley was there and smiling at his kids. And there's parents there, and parents that are so proud of their young student athlete. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. It's great to do these interviews, and we sometimes get it because, I mean, from being here for so long, 80% of the time you're going to hear good things, and 20% of the time, or 80% of the time you're going to hear nothing, and 20% of the time you're going to hear people complain about what we do. The silent majority is tough to come by, but when somebody complains, we take it personally because it's nobody's going to tell us our baby's ugly, and sometimes it's very tough to kind of bite your tongue or put it in your cheek, and in those situations, you don't have to. People are not that we're seeking the attention or seeking the pat on the back, but it sure feels good sometimes. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No one's complaining live in those crowds. You're not getting heckled, at least I hope.
I think the only thing we got was the speaker that I bought is too loud. It's just too loud, and I don't know how to control it yet. Like you've got the guy that is I can work technology, but Brian's the tech guy. So I got to get with Brian and figure out how do I hook this in so I can control it. And it sounds good. Cause right now it's just, it sounds so bad. And I feel awful. Like we unplugged it cause I was getting feedback last night. Cause like the post office pub it's how do I say, it's quaint, right? You're tight. You're in there. Right. Same thing with Legends. You're tight, but it's a little bit more like Legends is a little bit like this way. It's more horizontal where there's the bar and then there's the dining room where kids and people can go hang out and still listen to the show. But like we're going out next week to the patio next week. As long as the weather's there, they got heaters out there. So we'll spread it out a little bit and enjoy it a little bit. But the first time's always the toughest. I'm not going to lie to you.
Fingers crossed that the weather holds up because that would be a blast to have, on the patio. And it would open it up a little bit to more people that can watch, and that would be fun. Hopefully, Hurricane Ian doesn't come up here by then.
Well, it sounds like, Richie and I talked about it during the abbreviated version of the Power Hour yesterday. It sounds like we got no rain coming in, like right now. Like the next 3 days, I looked at the Storm Tracker 21 app. We seem to be good. We looked at 10-day forecast because next week we will have a YSN Primetime Live at Lisbon. And it looks like it's going to be beautiful. So 0% chance rain right now. That can obviously change, but it doesn't look like Ian's having too much of a force here in the Northeast. So not that I'm a meteorologist or even play one on TV, but listen, I listen to those guys and gals over at 21 a lot. And especially on Thursdays and Fridays, I kind of hold my breath.
I've seen some of the images and videos from Florida.
Not good.
Man, I wouldn't even imagine what to do in that situation.
Richie said he's going down on Saturday.
I saw a video of like a big aquatic animal. I'm not going to confirm it was a shark. It was just a big fish. It might have been a shark. I don't know.
It was a shark. I saw the same video.
But it's swimming down the street.
Yep.
No.
Listen, I have a death. Now everybody knows at South Range that I'm terrified of gators and crocodiles. But I'm going to confirm that sharks are in that same category. Listen, it's bad enough that I'm there in the middle of a hurricane. If I was on top of my house and I saw what would be a nightmare to me, oh my gosh. If I saw a shark swimming in my backyard, it would be like a scene from Jaws. I'd get the gun. And I hope somebody from PETA is watching. Because if you have a shark swimming in your yard, down your street, and you're just sitting there holding a phone, like taking it in, like what happens if you fall off the house? Like we're going to need a bigger boat.
I need a bigger boat.
That's why I gotta call Richie today and make sure that he's mentally okay, because I'm gonna send him that once again, and I'm gonna say, Richie, you're gonna go swim in a lagoon to go save your boat, which I applaud. His grandpa's boat is washed away right now, and Richie's like, I'm gonna go get it. I thought he was joking. Then he's like, hey, on Saturday, I think I'm going down to Florida, and I'm gonna swim in the lagoon and go get the boat. We might lose Richie to a shark. Like, I'm gonna have to, like, I don't know what I'm gonna have to go watch Jaws again and understand how you blow that thing up, because Richie's gonna need a wingman.
Tell Richie to punch it in the nose if it gets close.
Sharks, alligators. Oh my gosh, Scotty Recitar. This is my own personal hell right here. Sharks, alligators, and anacondas all in the same water right now.
Anaconda, man, I didn't know anacondas were in Florida. I thought they were all confined to the Amazon, but nope. Mm-mm.
I thought they were all confined to
snakes are the devil. It's in the Bible.
What's the Sir Mix-a-Lot? I thought that's where they were all confined to, the anacondas. But it's at the end of the day.
I've seen that movie too.
Cat, let me tell you, I'm not like the only thing that if tigers or lions decided that, or bears, I'm out, man. Like, I don't want to live here anymore. This is why I understand all these millionaires building space rockets and going to the moon. You see that stuff in your own backyard. I'm out, man. Beam me up, Scotty. Get me the hell out of Dodge, because I'm not trying to be here when I'm on one team and you got sharks, anacondas, alligators, crocodiles, and all the Mother Nature. Like, you're looking at Noah's Ark on one team. They're going to take their land back, man. They're not happy.
Yeah, anything that would be ahead of us in the food chain, if it weren't for the technology that humans have come up with, no, thank you.
Like, you're stuck. We talked about a little bit, before the show. Like, what are you gonna do if you're living in Florida? Like, you're toast, man.
I'm done. Like, I forget the animals. The flood would get me, because how's Anthony getting up to the roof?
We'll put you in a boat.
Put me in a boat.
We're gonna put you in one of those life rafts, and you'll be not even a life raft, like the ones you go wild water rafting in. Put you in one of those. I think you're good. Now, it would be bad if you ever walk ashore.
I can swim, so at least I have that going for me. I don't know for how long I could swim. I don't know if I could tread water.
Can you swim faster than a shark?
No.
So it doesn't matter if you can swim or not. Shark wouldn't eat Richie because there's no meat on his bones.
Oh, snap. That's
Listen to the picture guy. The Dairy King. The Dairy King is throwing haymakers at Richie.
He's feeling himself today a little bit. He texted me. He said, I look really good today. I was like, okay, Gary. Awesome.
Even clocks are right twice a day.
Broken clocks.
Clocks.
We have a very packed show for you guys today. It's going to be 4 interviews that we have done. Our team has done throughout the week. I have 2 interviews with Kimmy, Goski, who I did this morning before the show, of Boardman Volleyball, senior for that program, middle blocker. We have Maria Manley, a senior for West Branch girls soccer. A great story. Can't wait to share that with you, and the things that she's been going through the last 7 months to her way back to the soccer field is a very, very awesome story. Can't wait for you guys to hear that. And then Ian O'Brien yesterday did a couple of interviews from Lowville football, and they're riding high right now. One of the last undefeated teams in the area. I think we're down to 5.
I think that's what we count. 5 or 6. 5 or 6. Edison, Lowville, South Range. Oh man, who were the others? Valley and Southern.
So 5. Great to get to hear from them. He has an interview with Vinny Ballone and head coach Andrew Mamula. So we're gonna play those and give you guys a chance to hear from those 2 as well on the high flying Rockets football team.
Listen, I got to listen to it live. When Richie was producing them right before the show and right after the show, and Ian O'Brien knocked it out of the park on our side of things. And Vinny, he's a pro. And one of the things I was worried about was, okay, this is kid gloves, because we want Vinny to be seen in such a good light from a recruiting standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And Ian O'Brien did such a good job with both coach and Vinny, and I cannot wait to kind of share it. It's already on ysnlive.com, but
Right.
to share it with the world here on well, with a Coach's Corner player profile.
Yeah, it went up. It went up towards the midnight hour last night. So if you haven't seen it yet this morning, you can grab a cup of coffee and sit down and relax. And we're gonna give it to you on Running Point as
It's
well.
National Coffee Day as well, so do grab that.
I
cup
didn't even
of
know
coffee.
that. Well, sometimes things work out in your favor.
Well, this is like 7 a.m. for you, like at the noon hour, because you don't get up very early. You're a late
I got
night
up
guy.
early to do Kimmy's interview today, so I've been up for a while.
Oh man,
I know.
punch
I
the
get
OT clock. Because usually, what time do you usually wake up? Like, what's if
on
you're
days
not
when I
working,
come in, the bus picks me up 8. On days where I'm home and I do it from home, probably like 8:30 or 9.
really?
Yeah.
You're growing up. My little boy's growing up. It
Well, I
used
got to
to
give myself some time. I don't want to be like, welcome to Running Point.
You used to be an 11 a.m. guy. You used to
know.
be an 11 a.m. guy, and I remember like
I used to be, because I'm still a night owl, man. I still do most of my work late at night. It's when I do it best.
yeah, I'm excited. We had some work done on the website last night to make it bigger, faster, stronger. So tip our cap to our friends over at Synergy for always looking after our best interest. We're still trying to kind of figure out what is going on Friday nights, other than the extreme amount of traffic that
I think they've been like constantly surprised, like, oh, we're ready. We got you ready for this amount of traffic, and then like the next week it's even more, and the next week it's even more.
Yep, and it's only going to get more like that as it gets colder. You know what I mean? Like, we've had great weather on Friday nights so far. Even last week, it was just a little cold. But now, oh boy, hold on to your pants, because we're trying to make it bigger, faster, stronger, BFS, and we'll see how it goes. Oh, you know what comes out tonight, Ant? I forgot to tell you. Number 1, the volleyball power rankings, and number 2, the plays of the week, brought to you by NST Sports Performance,
who we just announced is our newest corporate sponsor as well.
Yeah, we're excited. A 2-year contract with them. They are excited. There's one in Austin town. I think they have 7 buildings total, like out towards Cleveland and everywhere in between. But watching and seeing some of their videos of what their people do, there's athletes from all over the place that are doing this. And NST has been able to kind of do that BSF or BFS, bigger, faster, stronger, with the majority of their athletes more explosive. They use the fast twitch muscles to get their guys and gals more explosive, and it's really paying off for them on the court, on the floor, wherever these athletes are. So make sure you check them out. It's nstsports.com. They are phenomenal, a training outlet for players that are serious. Like, if you're just kind of into it, probably not something for you. But if you like want to excel, you have ambitions of being a college athlete, probably somebody you need to call, because they're not going to recruit for you. But what they do is they help you recruit for yourself, if that makes sense, because your stuff's going to go through the roof. All your numbers and your explosiveness. And I mean, they're using science to make you a better person and make you a better athlete.
Yeah, and I love their commercial too. Anytime there's a timeout and I know NST is up, that beat, the it's a high energy commercial. It gets me ready. Let's go.
Well, I'll tell them that, Ant. That was a little weird, but I'll take.
I know.
I'll take it.
I like, we hear our commercials a lot, so we get. I think everyone has some of their favorites, so they're like, okay, I'm hitting this one. I love it, and they're one of the ones that I look forward to clicking.
Greenwood Chevrolet, one of my favorites.
Yes, absolutely.
Their new ads are phenomenal.
Greenwood, we have so many of them, so it doesn't get redundant. Like, we have the Tracy Bryan, we have one for every. Oh, it seems like I think we have one for every school almost that we're able to funnel through. We have the ones with Kevin Lawson. We have just a huge variety of Greenwood Chevrolet commercials. Their marketing department does a great job. And I've done this shout out with Ty Bartell, but I'm gonna need to do it here on Running Point today too. If you don't follow Kevin Lawson on social media, especially TikTok, who's one of their great salesmen, he does a lot of great social media marketing for Greenwood and puts out a lot of very funny, very comedic content that lets you kind of inside the life of a car salesman. So he's a great follow if you're on Instagram, or if you're one of the people that likes to fall into a TikTok rabbit hole late at night or even on Facebook and Twitter, make sure to give him and Greenwood Chevrolet a follow, because they do a great job, especially Kevin Lawson, who went to school with me in the telecommunications department. So, he knows video production pretty well, and he makes amazing social media content on his phone during the day. So it's a good follow if you're looking for a car dealership car dealership to follow on social media. Make sure you do at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Always follow them all, man. Like every one of our sponsors, especially the corporate sponsors. Welcome,
Yep.
Compco, NST, Legends, and we're looking for even more sponsors so we can do even more things with the talent that we have, with the schools that we have. So if you're out there and you're looking for opportunities to market yourself, arguably, and I won't argue with you if you tell us we're the best marketing outlet for your brands, because they do get played an absorbent amount of times. And live sports is still the number one, whether it's on TV or streaming, it's still number one across the country of things people want to watch. So, and there's no better live sports to me than high school live sports. I used to be the pro guy. I used to be a college guy, but high school sports and youth sports is still number one to me, because it's still pure at that point. Kids are still playing for the love of the game and not for the love of the paycheck. So, and yes, college now, yeah, I can officially say that it's for the love of the paycheck. It's no longer for the love of the game. NIL, it wasn't the game breaker that everybody thinks it was. That this happened long before the NIL stuff came out.
As soon as it became a high marketed sport with broadcast deals, that's when as soon as money gets involved, it's going to trickle down.
And just wait what happens January 1st. I'm predicting that right now you can't have high school sports or youth sports that I know of associated with even casinos or gambling in any way, right? I'd be willing to bet that when this thing breaks on January 1st, that if the OHSAA has a pretty big payday, which I think is coming from, a casino or a sports betting app or something like that, I'll be willing to bet that the advertising's going to be able to be played as long as it's played responsibly, because it's happened already in Pennsylvania, and Ohio is going to see those missing dollar signs and wonder how they can get a hold of it.
And they're always looking for those signs, that's for sure. Perfect segue, though, because we were talking about how much our commercials are played. We're going to play a couple now. Take a break. When we get back, we'll play these Louisville football interviews, and then we'll come back and talk about the playoff picture, what it looks like now. We have 32 YSN teams, if the season ended today, would make the playoffs, and can't wait to talk about that. And so all that and more coming up next on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Locally owned and operated, Sheely's relaxed shopping experience means browsing and lounging is always encouraged.
Find Flex Deal and more at Sheely's Furniture and Appliance, because the best things in life happen at home.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring golf instruction by PGA professionals, a state-of-the-art practice range, a PGA of America recognized pro shop, kids programs, and a relaxing grill room for a memorable golf experience. For more information or to schedule a tee time, visit millcreekmetroparks.org.
Fall is in the air. The kids are back to school, crowds are cheering for the home team, and Myers Family Insurance is prepped for another crazy Medicare season. Every year there's changes, some big, some small, so it's important to have a conversation to make sure your plan is going to meet your expectations for the coming year. Give our team a call today to schedule your annual review.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance or visit us on the web. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com.
Going from mindful to mindful sometimes requires a helping, healing hand. Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness offers a continuum of mental health and wellness care. At Insight, we're changing the way you receive counseling and wellness services with experienced licensed clinicians and expertly trained wellness staff. With 4 locations in Mahoning and Columbiana County, along with telehealth services, Insight offers clients quick access to care when they need it. Transform your mental health and wellness at Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. As promised, we're going to go into Lowville football and hear from head coach Andrew Mamula and Vinny Baloney. And O'Brien had a chance to catch up with both of them yesterday, so we're going to play those back-to-back, and we'll come back to talk about the current playoff standings of not just Lowville, but the 32 YSN teams that are currently sitting in playoff spots as we head into Week 7.
What's up, Louisville Rocket Nation? Ian O'Brien, Ysn Live here with a Coach's Corner. I know we haven't really had a Louisville Coach's Corner much, but this is definitely a special one over here. Coach Andrew Mamula, head football coach for the Louisville Rockets. Coach, first of all, thank you for coming on. After last week's game, I had to get you on because, I mean, the season you guys have been having right now has just been incredible.
Oh, thanks for having us on. It's been a good season. You guys had me on last year, and we were starting to turn things around, but obviously we're ahead of schedule of where we hope to be. We're exactly where you hope and you dream you can be. To be undefeated right now and kind of in the driver's seat in our league and fighting for playoff position. That's exactly what we wanted, and those are our kids' goals. And right now we're on pace to achieve them.
Talk about real quick. This is the best Louisville team I think you've had since 2002. That you've been having since the 2002 team, where they won 11-1. They were 10-0, undefeated the regular season. Talk about how this team is just, I want to say the same, but also different than that team.
Yeah, so I was on the 2002 team. That was my senior year. Coach Palumbo, who's on staff, was our quarterback that year. So we know that team well. We also coached, within the program from about the time we graduated in 2003 to 2010. So we've been around Louisville football. We know the last 20 years what it was like down here. When you compare the teams, obviously until this group has completed their season, you hate to compare, and the team asks, well, where do we rank? Well, who knows? Until you finish your season, it's undecided. It's you're still writing your story. The 2002 team, they wrote theirs, and it's they won the league and they had an early playoff exit, and that's what I told our kids is our goal is we want to win playoff games. It's not just win regular season games. It's different when you get in the playoffs, and that's what our kids' goal is. And I think once their story's written, then you can look back and you can compare. But as far as the styles, it's complete opposite. If you watch that 2002 team, it was run heavy, field position, playing defense. Whereas if you've watched our games, we're throwing the ball, we're giving up field position to take risks to get the ball back. So it's basically the complete opposite of everything that I played in and was raised with. But it's what I think is going to be effective for the team that we have and the kids that we have. If we tried to do what the 2002 team did,
real quick,
we would be very successful.
Also, just following up on that. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. What did you say?
Following up on that, though, you're fine. Compared to like your 2002 season to now, 2002, as you say, you didn't throw the ball as much. talk also about Finney Balone, because, I mean, he's been the talk of the town, Youngstown, Louisville, wherever you are in the Valley. 35 touchdowns this season, no interceptions so far. I mean, it's just been incredible. Talk about how the passing game compared to Louisville in the past has worked out so well.
Yeah, so the number I like is 0 interceptions. So as a head coach, when you're not turning the ball over, you're protecting it. That's the number I like. And that's the thing with passing teams is coaches, when I was playing, we were always told, well, if you pass the ball, 3 things can happen and 2 of them are bad. Well, we have a lot of good things happen when we pass the ball. And it's one of those things that we're going to give this kid an opportunity because he's that talented. And it's, I know a lot of different philosophies would say, well, you got to run the ball, play good defense, it's not going to work with the kids we have. We have a very talented bunch on the outside. We have very good athletes. We have a very good quarterback that makes great decisions, and we're going to let him do what he does. We kind of took the leash off this year, and we're at full throttle now with him. We have all the trust in the world in him. He's earned that trust. He's one of the best players in the area. He's one of the best players we've ever had at Louisville. And so we're gonna ride with our guy. And we've seen in the past, talented individuals can take you far in the playoffs. We've seen what Bo Brungart's done, Mark Wade, what he's done when he was at Girard. It's if you have a talented kid and you're willing to give them the opportunity to be successful, don't be surprised when they can take you to places you haven't been before. And that's what we're hoping Vinny is for us. And to this point, he has been.
Talk about real quick, besides the quarterback position, the running game worked a lot on Friday. I mean, you saw Ocasio, he got a lot of carries. You said Chino Perry came back from injury. And then the wide receiver group, too, I mean, worked really well. I mean, you talk about Matthew Lucido, for example. He played real well. Also, it was actually your kicker right there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Had a big-time onside kick to actually open up that game after you guys scored first. And of course, Bray Bonovsky, too. Talk about just how much those players have progressed from when you got there in 2020 to now.
So that's the other thing. Obviously, Vinny, he's kind of the center of it. He's the quarterback. But we can do what we do because of all the other kids we have around him. We have, 8-9 kids offensively that are explosive kids, that are kids that are dangerous with the ball in their hands. And it makes a lot of our things, it makes Vinny look really good. So, he'll throw a 5-yard out and then Michael Balone or Braylon Dabney will make a cut and they'll get another 20 yards, or Brady will break 3 tackles. And a lot of it with especially our junior group. So, when I say juniors, I mean Michael, Braylon, Tino, Matt Lucido. Those were kids that hit the weight room. Those are kids that they put the time in the off season. I mean, they're kids that come 3, 4, 5 days a week. They're in the weight room for 2 hours after practice. They're in the weight room before practice. Anthony Luceni's been coming in, same idea, and these are kids that they probably weren't born with as much natural talent as Brady and Vinny, but they're kids that are working to get to that level. And they see how good that those two are just talent-wise. They're just born with natural-born talent. And they know that in order to get to that level, they have to work their butts off. And they've done it. They've done it this offseason. Gino he's one that came to our school this year. He's another kid that physically he puts the work in. And that's I think the biggest change when you're trying to change a program is, when I started, we had 6 kids in the weight room. Before COVID, before it broke down, our last lift before COVID hit and they shut us down, we had 6 kids in the weight room. It was on a Friday. That was nice weather out. We didn't get a very good turnout, and you can't expect to win if that's the case. But we have kids that are showing up. We have kids that are putting the work in. That we have kids that even when they're not with me, when they're not with the football team, Michael Balone's going to work out. I think you said you've seen him and his dad at the Y at 6 in the morning, and we have several kids that are putting the work in. And their work's starting to pay off, and they deserve it. I mean, they're working their butts off, and they absolutely deserve all the accolades and everything that they get.
So you see the players change over time. You see them progress. How about you as a coach? What do you think you've seen that you've learned and just been able to help all the kids, and especially throughout this winning season? What do you think you improved on the most from your time when you first got there in 2020 compared to now?
Finding some balance, just finding some balance of finding balance in the running game, finding balance. We're getting more guys involved. My first 2 years, it was really Brady Bonovsky, and we kind of centered the offense around him and Vinny, whereas now we're kind of spreading it out more because those kids have earned the opportunity. And it's just trying to find that balance within our program and just in many different ways. And when I say balance, it's also, we're putting the work in, but you also have to give them the time to rest and heal up. That's one of the things that I think is helping us as a small school. Injuries are a part of it. And I think we found the right practice balance where we're not pushing the kids too hard, where we're risking injuries every week. But at the same time, we're also working hard enough where we're seeing results on the field. And so it's really been about balance. And in the playoffs, that's what you need to win is you need to be a balanced team. And we have 3 running backs. Mark Dubas is a kid we haven't mentioned, but he had a 50-yard touchdown catch out of the backfield for us. He's been our starter all year, and it's just kind of finding that right balance with all of these kids. And it's tough some weeks because they all deserve touches. And we should be running the ball with our backs, but our receivers are really good. And so that's the thing we've been working on. But I think even myself, but my staff, especially our offensive coordinator, Jared Vrabel, has done an outstanding job with finding the right balance this year.
How about the defensive side too? We talked a lot about the offense, but you got to give the defense a lot of credit for what they've done as well up here. I know maybe someone will say first half they gave up 14 points or they have 20 points at Jacksonville, but then you see the second half of what they've been able to do. They've been able to only hold their opponents to like 20 or less points for most part of the season. How has that been this season, just to see this defense so progress, so healthy, so big compared to the last 2 seasons that we saw here at Louisville?
Yeah, we're getting after it on the defensive side of the ball. Our best defensive game was week 3. We played a team called South Central. They were offensively, they're a very explosive team, and our guys just flew to the ball. And it was something I hadn't seen in my previous 2 years of where we're just flying to the ball. We got plenty of helmets on the ball, and that's good defense. We have a defensive lineman, Casey Gordon, another junior, who just gets after it. I mean, Jackson Milton, they ran a trick play. He's a D lineman. He goes after the quarterback. He makes the tackle 20 yards downfield. He saves a touchdown, and we force a 3 and out or a 4 and out. They went for it on 4th down. And it's plays like those that are sustaining our defense. And, statistically, defensively, we're on the field for more possessions just because of how our offense plays. Defensively, we're giving our defense a short field because, we're onside kicking to limit big plays in special teams to try to get the ball back. And so statistically, it doesn't look as well as maybe some of these other schools. But if you watch the film, it's they're showing up every week. They're getting to the ball and they're making stops. They're forcing turnovers. And those are the things we have to do if we want to be successful in week 11.
And now, again, another week, MVAC Scarlet Division rivalry over here, conference rivalry in Sebring. I know Sebring's had some of their downs and ups a little recently, but you said, during our post game, you guys had that at Louisville for a little bit too. You had to build up a program. And Sebring sometimes could be a team that is known for surprising and getting some upsets. What's it going to take to, beat the Trojans this week?
Yeah, so, you watch the film, they have some tough kids there. 28's a really good player. They got some good linemen. And we understand what that looks like. We were a team 7 years ago that we went 0-9. Sebring beat us, I think, by 30 points. They continuous clocked us, 7 years ago. So it doesn't take that long to turn it around. And you get a couple players and you get, one game that goes your way, that can start to build the program. And so obviously, our job and my job is we don't want them to start building that program Friday night. They can start that the following week, but we want to take care of business. Now, obviously, you look at the matchup on paper. If we play our game, we limit our mistakes, we're going to be okay. But if we get dumb penalties, if we're turning the ball over, then it's going to be a game in the 3rd and 4th quarter. And once you're in the 3rd and 4th quarter and it's that close and you're putting it in officials' hands or you're putting it in the hands of, teenage kids, you may not get the result you want. So it's one of those where we just have to play our game, play Louisville football. And if we do, we're going to be fine. But we can't underestimate any opponent because, we've been that opponent. We've been that opponent that even we, as a young team, shocked some teams or played better games than maybe teams expected because they're preparing every week. They're trying to win every game. And that's what those kids are doing. And we know exactly what that's like because that was our mindset just a few years ago.
So, Coach Mamula, first of all, I want to say thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate that both of us were able to find some time over here throughout the day. Really good timing, too, especially on a Wednesday, middle of the week. I know you guys are definitely getting after it right now. Practice, of course, is going to be coming soon and stuff like that. We're going to have a player profile, actually, with your quarterback, Finney Balone, here later on, which I also appreciate for you getting that with him and for him being able to come on later on. And remember, if you want to watch, in fact, some Louisville football this week as it plays Sebring, you can go under the link on ysnlive.com, click just Louisville and watch, or you can also go to the Louisville game, support your Rockets. So, Coach Mamula, first of all, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you for having me. I love the work you guys do. I mean, you guys are putting high school football back on the map, and it's much appreciated, especially in coaching circles. So thank you, guys.
I really do appreciate it as well, Coach. So you have a good one, and I'll see you Friday.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone, over here. Now, a player profile edition here on Ysn Live. Once again, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Bear Brothers. Also, want to give a shout out to Coach Mamula for setting this up over here. Louisville Rockets player profile, quarterback, Finney Balone. Finney, first of all, I want to thank you for coming on, my man. You've had such a year so far. Been one of the best quarterbacks here in the whole valley.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, Finney, real quick, just talk about this whole season that you've been doing so far. I mean, 35 touchdown passes, no interceptions, tying school records, nearly breaking school records, mind you. That might happen soon. Who knows? Talk about how exciting this 2022 season has been, not only for you, but just for the whole Louisville Rocket Nation.
Yeah, it's been real exciting. We've done a lot throughout the season, a lot of accomplishments. We're playing real good throughout the first 6 games we've been playing. And I'm real proud of our guys, real proud of the teammates, coaches, everyone. We're playing real great.
Talk about it real quick. Speaking of your teammate coaches, Coach Mamula comes in. You know, those first couple seasons, I mean, that one season I know was the COVID year, 4-6, wasn't really the season that you wanted. But then last year, 7-3, looked like there was some progress, and now it just takes off over here. How has he helped you since coming in here as the head coach?
Yeah, he's been real good. He's a great coach. He gets the guys ready for every game. We're going to practice, lifting, everything, getting real ready for the games. He's a great coach. I really like him.
Great coach indeed. And tell you what, not even only that, but you've had some great weapons this season too. I mean, one of your main targets I saw on Friday against Waterloo, for example, Brady Bonofsky. You went to him a couple times right there. You have one of your relatives right there, Michael Balone. You definitely have him as well. Mr. Lifting 5 a.m. But I tell you what, it's been paying off for him as well. We've thrown the ball to him a little bit. Matthew Lucido has been playing a big impact. Not only talk about, because people want to talk about only Finney Balone, but what about your teammates? The ones up front, the wide receivers, that whole skill position, I would say, they played a bit. How have they played a big impact on you this whole season compared to what the past had?
Yeah, they're doing real good this year. Receivers, they're running their routes perfectly. I'm just hitting them there. They're doing a lot of the work, turning up field, getting a lot of yards. I'm real happy to have some good receivers like that. The line from the past years, they've improved so much. They've gotten so much better with everything. Run offense, pass offense, everything. I'm real proud of them all.
Yeah, you go back a little bit to 2019. I think that was your freshman year. Compared to now, 2022, how do you think you've improved at the quarterback position, especially from, I want to say, freshman season, playing at Louisville, different regime to now?
Yeah, I've improved a lot by reading the defense and my strength, just like speed, strength, skills, everything. Accuracy, it's all improved since my freshman year. But majority was reading the defense as my freshman year.
Talk about also, because you talk about reading defenses, improving on that, improving with your strength. What is a day like in the quarterback for Finney Balone? Besides, of course, school and all that, what does it start out with on the football side right after school? What's a day in the life? Does he go to the weight room first? Because Coach Manuel was talking about some players go to the weight room. Does he go after? What's a day in the life of Finney Balone like?
Yeah, I usually go to football first, get everything done there that I have to do, and then after I usually hit the weight room right after that, and right after practice.
So right after practice, you usually do hit the weight room, I'd imagine. Yeah. Because here's the thing with high school, of course, it's not like college. You just can't go anywhere and have a lunch. You only have your lunch at that time. I imagine for you though, you try and pick up as much strength as possible, hydrate yourself big. What's it like? I want to say, is it a lot tougher to lift after practice than it is before?
Not really, because if you get a little snack in between practice and lifting, you'll be all right. Just get a quick lift in or a heavy lift in. It's all easy. It's perfect.
I gotta probably try that then sometime for sure. Finney, you seem like the great hydration right there. Great resources. Talk about also real quick the game against Waterloo. 5 touchdown passes. Last year it was close against them. You had to kind of come back to win that. You had to hold on to win that against the Vikings. This year it seemed like you guys, I want to say, kind of had it in the third quarter, pulled away after that. What was that game like?
Yeah, we remember from last year. It was real close. We came out ready this year, and hopefully put them away early. And luckily we did that. We played a real good game in the first half, and we just played good on offense, and they couldn't really do much.
And then 2 weeks ago, you played against Jacksonville, and that game was actually, I think, close for a while. And then you guys ended up pulling away around with a third, fourth quarter, 1-2, and you threw for 9 touchdown passes, and you tied 2 quarterbacks who had them back in 2013. What was that like? Just when you found out, hey, you tied the record right there for the most passing touchdowns in a game? Were you like shocked? Were you happy? Or were you like, hey, we got to get back to work over here?
I was like combination of all three, actually. I was like, wow, that's crazy. I just tied a state record. And then we were like, well, it's over now. So now I got to get back to work, try and get 10.
Yeah, you take a look at your season so far, 6-0, as you said, undefeated. Because you also not only play quarterback, you're also on the defensive side a little bit sometimes too. And so far, the defense this year, as I'm looking right now, has only given up around, I want to say the highest points has been 26 against Waterloo. Seems like every other game you've given up anything below 30. Talk about the defensive improvement from just the past Louisville team.
Defensive improvement. We've all gotten stronger. We've all gotten better skills. Linebackers, we're reading guards like how we're supposed to. We're making tackles this year. It's just everything's improved way better from last year. We're reading the offenses. We're listening in practice. It's all coming together.
And talk about real quick, I want to say, of course, practice definitely makes a big improvement. What improvement would you say you just see out of the leadership of this Louisville team compared to the past? Sometimes you have the good leadership. Other times there might be some leadership where you have to make sure that they all come together. What have you seen from just you as a leader, Bonovsky, or whoever it is? What have you seen, and who have you seen really stepped up the most into the leadership role besides you two?
Yeah, all the seniors are really stepping up this year and making sure like it's our last year, making everything happen, making practice perfect, all being leaders. And even some of the juniors, they're stepping it up this year, being leaders, ready for next year. So we're all coming together as a great team this year, I think.
All right, so game this week, I talked to Coach Mamula earlier. I told him, even people are probably going to back out, say what they want about Sebring, but still a tough football team. I know you've seen that for sure this year. Tough young team that they have over here. They could possibly shock a team over here possibly, and they're trying to, I know, do that this week. What's it going to take to beat the McKinley Trojans? Of course, your rival in the MVAC Scarlet Division.
Yeah, we started to come out like we usually do, run our offense, tackle on defense, just do everything we're coached to do, and we should be all right. They're a great team, so we just got to go out there and do what we do.
And talk about real quick also, I know it's a little early, but the final few things of your games, of course, after this game, you have McDonald, Mineral Ridge, Western Reserve. What's going to take to be undefeated, kind of like the 2002 Louisville Rocket team?
Just showing that we're able to pass the ball, be able to put up long points, be able to play great defense.
All about showing up that. But I want, because, the Blown family, of course, really big, especially in all athletics. How, I won't say just happy is your family, especially for breaking the record, how happy are they for you, for what have you accomplished here so far at your career at Louisville?
Yeah, they're real excited about everything. They're real proud of me. And I'm just proud of myself about everything I've done. I've worked hard.
I'm trying to tell you what right now, of course, this season, it's been a real good season for you guys so far. I hope you guys continue to put up the great work. Good luck this week, of course, against Sebring McKinley, which you could find on ysnlive.com. If you want to watch Finney Balone here in a big game this week, you could go to Ysn Live. You could click down on Louisville and click the link there, or you could go out to Paul Menenchi Stadium and support your Louisville Rockets. I want to say, Finney Balone, first of all, thank you for coming on, my man. I really appreciate that, Coach Mamula, and you were able to do this Coach's Corner right over here before practice, or player profile before practice, and the Coach's Corner.
Thank you. Yeah.
Once again, I want to thank everyone here for tuning in, and this was the player profile, Finney Balone edition here on ysnlive.com.
That was Vinny Balone and Andrew Mamula from Louisville football, being able to join Ian O'Brien yesterday. Great interviews with both of them. And first, I'll talk about Vinny Balone, DJ, and what impresses me so much about him, especially when we hear him get interviewed. Like, he has aspirations. He has those goals. He wants to get 10. He wants to break that record. But he's not boastful about it. Like, he doesn't sit here and say, well, I got 9. I'm going to pound my chest. Like, he's got that drive and that competitiveness and that attitude, the swagger, but he knows how to toe the line between that and almost pride, or bad side of pride and boastfulness. And I think that's really impressive about Vinny Balone.
I think the biggest thing that people need to listen to, right, when they're watching and they're listening to these interviews is when you talk to a person, how much do they talk about themselves? And then how much do they talk about their teammates, their coaches, their parents, their peers, whoever? Vinny's a perfect example of a guy that's getting headline after headline after headline after headline, but he never talks about himself. Like he's very humble. And with all the accolades that he's bringing in, statewide, nationwide, worldwide on ysnlive.com, it's one of those things where it'd be very easy to sit there and talk about himself. But you can see when he speaks, it's very minimal about number 5 and very, very much about everybody else. He talks about his receivers, his line, the people in his life. His dad's the AD for Lowellville, a guy that, again, could be very, hey, look at my son, look at my son, look at my son. Instead, it's look at this team, look at this team, look at this team. And the team is going to take them far, because when you got those 11 guys on the field at a time, it's never about one. It's always about the 11. And Lowellville is a special team. I don't know what has to happen, in order for people to start giving them the love that they deserve, ourselves included from that standpoint. We have them, bottom 5 on our power rankings, because of their schedule or whatever the reason may be. This kid's thrown all touchdowns and no picks. Like one of the highest QBRs in the entire country, not the state, the country. And he just continues to do it. And this team, I mean, you've got some of the best players, the best numbers in the entire country, and all we can come up with is, well, they haven't played X, Y, or Z. They're not going to play X, Y, or Z. Like, if we're waiting on them to play Austintown Fitch or Ursuline or, Massillon, Washington, it's not going to happen. Like, what coach would never, and certainly Bob Ballone, the athletic director, would never put them in a situation that they're going to play one of the top teams, the biggest teams in the country, because it's still, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it's still one of the smallest schools in our area. That's what it is. And I'm not making excuses for them. I'm not, trying to give them a crutch, but let's face it. People are ripping on our power rankings all the time for good reason, right? They're entitled to their opinion. But how can you not say what Lowellville has done has earned them a right in the top 10? Mm-hmm. I don't see it. And they're going to say, well, they haven't played this team and this team and this team. They're not going to.
They're not going to.
The power rankings are so fun. It's fantasy. It's South Range is not going to play Massillon, Washington in football. They're just not. But I don't think they play them in anything, nor should they. That's like 3 divisions above them. Why would they play them? Just to say, oh, we played them? Well, what if they win? Well, what if they do? What if they do? Then what do you say? Then there's going to be another reason, people can't get it. And Lowellville, I think, is the one team, in my opinion, and we'll probably talk about this a lot at 3. It's the one team that continues to people just bake in, well, they haven't played anybody. We were at Mineral Ridge last night. Well, Mineral Ridge, according to people at Mineral Ridge, hasn't played anybody. Jackson Milton hasn't played anybody. Like, okay, so are we just going to put teams that play somebody? Because, listen, Fitch is on that list. Ursuline's on that list. I'm arguing South Range is on that list, not as a homer, but like these teams that are 6-0 right now, Ant, they played somebody. Right. They're beating everybody that's in their way, and you can't sit there and say, well, shame on them because they don't have, St. Ignatius or St. Ed's on their schedule. Like, what do you want them to put the Browns there? Like you want them to go play at First Energy Stadium and play the Browns? Is that going to make you feel better? They probably beat the Steelers, but I don't know, man. It really grinds my gears when people sit there. This team hasn't played anybody. What are you talking about? Haven't played anybody? Explain that to me, like in full detail.
What impresses me about Lowellville is you could sit there and talk about their schedule and you could break down the records of their opponents and whatever, but what they're doing is they're taking the team that's in front of them and they're just executing everything at a high level, even the things that have nothing to do with who's in front of them. Are we going through the right gaps? Are we making the right reads? Are we blocking the right people? Are our linebackers shooting the right holes? Things like that, they go way past who you're playing, that Lowellville continues to do. They continue to dominate. They haven't really shown one chink in their armor in their whole schedule. And I argue, even though Springfield's a down year, that's a big win for a Lowellville team that has been dominated by that program for years, to come out and have confidence and, battle a little bit of adversity in that game. And then, finish strong instead of kind of folding a little bit in that game. Because a lot of teams against Springfield, it gets down to the nitty gritty. They need a clutch play. It's Springfield, and it gets a little bit tight, and those plays can't be made. Lowellville made those plays down the stretch against a team that, like Springfield, that has been dominating for a while. So I think that's a big win, despite Springfield's record right now, especially record at that point in the season. I had him at number 2. Our voters.
You had who at number 2?
Lowellville. I put Lowellville as number 2 on our power. I mean, that's how I voted.
Oh, I thought you meant Springfield. I was like, wait a minute.
And some other people put them a little bit higher than the top 5 too, but some other people, they're still thinking that, they have that strength of schedule in mind. And that's what's wonderful about our power rankings, that, everyone has their own criteria that they use, and every vote counts.
And
I guess,
I think we get into kind of like loving teams. Like we get into, okay, they can do no wrong. I mean, you do it with volleyball as much as the rest of us do it. It's you find teams and you go, well, I really like this team. They're really good to the naked eye, but they have 6 losses. You know what I mean? Like or 7, whatever it may be, 5 losses. You sit there and you go, well, how do I get them in when there's other teams? And part of the frustration, or challenge, I guess is a better word for it, is trying to take your heart out of it and go just straight up black and white. Who are the best 10 teams? And not who they played. What have they done to impress me? And the record is a part of it. I try to think of it in thirds, right? It's what's your overall record? What have you done against these teams? Who are you supposed to beat? And who are you not supposed to beat that you did, right? Or you played close. And you add those thirds in that piece of the pie, and then you go, okay, Lowellville has not only beaten teams, but they have comfortably defeated teams along the way. They've beaten who's on their schedule. To your point, they have knocked them down, and they have emphatically showcased their talent to the point where this week, I don't know that Ian asked the question directly, but you have to believe that you could go for number 10 here. You go for 10 touchdowns if you're going after the record. Now, I think there's part of me that also would sit back and go, do you really need it? Like, you're going to beat up on little brother in Sebring from that standpoint and go into the record books when, Jackson Milton, the team that you just played, you scored 9, and that's pretty legit. That's a pretty legit thing. Are people going to go back and go the same way that they talk about the schedule now? Are they going to go back and say, well, it was against Sebring. Well, it was against this team. Well, the number's there. It doesn't matter. It's a varsity football game. The number's there. The win is there. If he beats the record's there. I think we need to start ceasing to say, well, if ifs and buts were cansies and nuts, you know what I mean? The world would be a better place. Like, it happened. It's a varsity. It's not like Vinny's taking on a JV team. It's not like Lowellville's taking on a JV team. It's not like they're playing a game on a team that wants to beat them. Like, nobody's sitting there going, hey, Vinny, you know what? You really deserve to throw 9 touchdowns tonight. Nobody did that. He and his teammates did that it's a team record. It's Vinny Balone will go in, but right next to Vinny Balone, it'll say Lowellville. And that's the one that I think he cares about the most. If you listen to that interview. But I think as a whole, we got to stop with this. Well, this team doesn't play this team. Well, you know what? At the end of the day, that's not on Lowellville. That's not on whatever team variable that is. That's on you for trying to find an excuse for beating down this team or whatever team it may be for what they've done. Like, should you just schedule down or schedule up against everybody and go 0-6 to this point and go, well, I deserve to be in the top 10 because we played all these teams really tough. Because it's not going to happen. I mean, people are so down. They're down on Salem. They're down on Springfield. They're down on, you got Valley and Southern that some people are still not voting for. United people aren't voting for. Some of these people had South Range in the bottom half of the top 10. Yeah, and while there's, again, it's all opinion based. Like, you can't have that argument for South Range. So which one is it? Which one is it? Because one of them, South Range was 6, Louisville was 7. So which one is it? South Range has only played one team that is lower than them in division-wise.
That was Springfield.
And Louisville is Division 7, so they can't play down.
Right.
Crazy.
And South Range will only play one other team that's even in their own division. That's going to be Lakeview. Everyone else is going to be 4 or higher on their schedule. So you definitely can't make the strength of schedule argument with South Range.
Well, there's a lot of teams you can't. Fitch, Ursuline. I mean, Ursuline played back and beat Brookfield, right? That was 3 divisions down. Brookfield's D6, right? So, but, you know, again, people were still
and Brookfield's not getting credit for that. That's back to your point. Like, Brookfield went up and played up. And
that's their only
they
loss,
got beat by Ursuline, but then they're beating everybody else. But Brookfield's not like, hey, you know, our strength of schedule is pretty up there. We're 5-1 in the season.
They're an afterthought.
Where are we?
It's tough. It's a tough, really, really tough line to walk. And you sit there and you go, man alive, what can we do? And
right.
If you're coach, you're Vinny during that interview, like you're almost waiting for it, you know, and I give them credit because they did a great job of answering all Ian's questions, just point blank. And, but if I'm coach, I'm sitting there going, man, where are we this week? Like, what do we got to do? And if I'm him, and I'm not, I'm taking that every week and I'm putting it up, and it's bulletin board material. This is where people think of you. This is where people like, there's 1-loss teams that are above you, and you guys have defeated everybody in your way. We'll see. We'll see. I just think these people need to, I don't know. It's not a come to Jesus moment. It's a moment that they got to say, okay, I got to put aside all of my personal hatred or disrespect for these other teams and move on. Like move on. Your sins have been forgiven. Let's go.
Get in that water, son. Get baptized. Yeah, you know, it'll be interesting because as the weeks go on, you know, other big teams have a chance to lose twice. If that happens, are people going to find ways to still use that strength of schedule and try to keep them in the top 10 somehow? I can't see a 2-loss team being in the top 10.
I'm getting a text message from my favorite person in golf, Brian Tolnar, and he wants to do a golf recap from yesterday.
Yeah.
Do we want him on this show or do we want him on 3? I think we're packed for this show.
And we have 2 more, but
yeah, I'm going to have him come on my show at 3, because that way we're not crunching his time. He can talk about golf all he wants on at 3:00.
Yesterday, he did a great job of breaking down what the districts are going to look like and who are the teams that are going to be, you know, having the best chance to break through in a district and who are some of the players to watch on those teams. So he really set you up. If you missed that, head over to our YouTube page and check out that segment with Brian where he kind of gives a preview of the golf district and all the teams to watch out for.
When does he not do a great job? I mean, that guy,
he's one take tournament.
How he's not on the golf channel, like with as good as he is, I don't understand it. He is the pros pro. The guy, like you said, one take Tolnar. Every time we go out there and shoot, it's boom, one take. He's a pro. I think the only time we ever had to do 2 takes, it was my fault because the microphone cut out. So he's such a great guy and so very passionate about growing the game of golf in this area, and we're going to do anything and everything we can to help him with that. And thanks to Mill Creek Metro Parks for you know, sponsoring and helping in our pursuit of that. But we do, Anthony, hard stop, breaking news. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, those of you who like seeing scores on a Friday night basis are going to salivate at the opportunity, because now YSN has a scoreboard page for you each night of the week. Every game that we cover on YSN will now have a score attached to it at the end of the night. The score stream that you're accustomed to for the last 5 years or so is no more. It's no longer. We're trying to get people on our scoreboard page that we can control, because with all due respect to score streams, some of those scores were wrong. And then we got the heat for it.
Right.
So we just decided, why not build something up, tear it down, and then restack, and then put our YSN spin on it. So starting literally right now, Quinn Pushkar, Brian Scott have put together the YSN scoreboard, and you can go to it at ysnlive.com/score. It's that simple, ysnlive.com/score, and see our scoreboard. You can see games that happened earlier in the week, last night. You can see games that are going to happen tomorrow and Saturday, and get a preview of what's to come on YSN. So it's ysnlive.com/score. We're super proud of it. We're looking for a potential headline sponsor of it that's going to get a ton of hits. So your logo is going to be right there. And every time somebody sees it, you'll be the proud sponsor of it. So looking forward to this. This is something it's a long time coming, and Quinn and Brian have been working diligently to do this. And we have some other news that we're going to be rolling out in the near future in regards to scores. So if you're a fan of scores, and who's not, we are now your official home for scores.
Yeah, that's going to be great, because that's just going to be one more thing that we have in our utility belt. People can't say that they can't go to YSN to just see the scores. I just want to see the scores. I don't want to see the commercial. Okay, well, here's your page right there. And to your point,
they don't want to see commercials. I'll fight them.
I don't know. I'm just fight them. Let's go. Not me. I didn't say it. To your point, ScoreStream was a great tool, and they were right 96% of the time, and they were a great asset. But at the end of the day, we didn't have control over it, and it looked like we did. And I think that was the big issue with it being at the top of our screen. People just assumed it was us, and it really wasn't. And when it happened to be wrong, then obviously we're wrong.
Well, yeah, and that's the tough part. I hate to be that guy that passes the blame down the table, but at the end of the day, I had zero control over it. Right. You had zero. The guy that is the CEO of ScoreStream and I have become friends. And I told him, I said, we want to continue this partnership, but it's all crowdsourced. If you're at a game, ScoreStream is based on, if you're at the game, you update the score, it believes whatever you say. So you can go in and say it's 70-0 when the game just starts.
Right.
And it's going to repeat 70-0 because it's got no way of telling you no. From our standpoint, that became a kind of a breaking point, because there was a game that the Valley score was flipped with, I think it was Lisbon a couple of weeks ago. We've had no score reports. We've had, and people, we get messages on social and through email of, you're wrong. Why isn't this score up? So now we're just going to make it simple. Our announcers, who do a great job already of reporting the scores, will now report them to us, to you, to me, to Quinn, to whoever. B. Miller is going to be a big part of this, so we're excited to kind of give him another role in the act of being part of YSN, especially on Friday nights, and we'll update them. But we also, I'm going to put this on coaches, and I know they love when I do that. They need to report their scores, So if you want to be on, not only are you going to have to tell us your scores, but we would also like for you to tell us how you got to that score, so we can write a story for you.
Right.
And further update people down the line. So super excited about this, beyond excited, because scores is something that it's, I don't want to say it's lazy, but it's sometimes, like you said, Ant, people,
it's quick.
They just want the score,
right.
And now they're going to get it. So we're working to incorporate the scores into all of our games now as well. So be on standby. It's coming.
It's coming. Winter is coming, unfortunately.
Oh boy.
Scores. Real quick before we get to these interviews, because I know we got to get to them before the show's over. We do have 32 teams, YSN teams, in the playoffs right now, if the season we're in today. And the one question I wanted to ask you while you were on is, do you think that number is going to decrease, increase, or stay around the same by the end of the season? 32. What would you be your prediction?
We talked about it Tuesday on the Power Hour, and we're going to do an article on those 32 teams. And I think it's a great question, Anthony. I think it's going to decrease. I think that teams like Wellsville are going to have a hard time. Boardman's going to have a hard time. And not that it's impossible, but they still have a beefy schedule ahead of them with some teams. So the number 16s are going to have a real tough time, but they also can win one of those games and be launched to 13 or 12 or something along those lines. So, Wellsville has Valley. If they beat Valley, they've almost stamped themselves. I would imagine they're probably in contention for a home game. You know what I mean? At that point. So being that they're D7 and Valley's D6. So, I like 32. I wish they could all make it. I mean, I say that now, but whenever we were in 2020, I was cursing the OHSAA. But I think there's still something to fight for. I still think there's something to fight for. I don't think any of these teams are going to roll over by any means, but my guess with how many teams are going to make the playoffs from the Ysn family, I'm going to go at 28. And I'm not going to tell you which 28. I'm going to go at 28.
It's my 2 cents, and then we'll move on because there's going to be a lot more discussion about this, like you said, on the Power Hour, so I don't want to take that away. But I think last year was interesting. We were kind of in the same boat, where in the sense that we had some teams at 16, some teams at 14, some teams right on the bubble, and both teams on the spectrum, like the 14th team would slip, but then we'd see a team that was on like the 18 or 17 get a couple wins towards the end, and they would just take their place. So, I think only losing 4, I think 28 is a pretty good number. I think we might see, around the same number, but some new teams that aren't on yet. Some of those bubble teams might get a couple of wins, while those other teams that are at 16, 15, 14 maybe take a loss down the stretch. Maybe those teams that are, 17, 18, 19 get some wins and just replace them. So we don't lose a number, we just lose that school and replace it with another one. I think we'll hit situations like that.
It's feasible. Absolutely feasible. But I think these teams playing each other, a lot of them still, it's, you might lose both of them if that team that's already in loses.
All right, we do have some interviews to get to, and I can't wait to share them with you. First, we'll go with Boardman Volleyball senior Kimmy Goski. She was able to cop on with me today during her study hall this morning, and got a chance to see her in 70s gear because it is Spirit Week in Boardman, and today was Pick a Decade. So she is dressed up like a hippie, and it's going to be a fun conversation. Can't wait to share it with you on Running Point. So here you go, Kimmy Goski, senior at Boardman Volleyball. Anthony Hartley here with a Boardman Volleyball player profile. I'm joined by senior Kimmy Goski, and before we go anywhere, we have to tell people not to adjust their screens. They have not been transported to the 70s. Kimmy, what's been going on? What's the get up like today?
So we're having Spirit Week this week because our homecoming is Saturday and today is Decades Day. So you can pick any decade and dress whatever you want. So I chose the 70s and I dressed as a hippie. I have this headband here. I braided my hair. I'm wearing all these necklaces, have this tie-dye shirt, this vest, and I was also wearing these glasses, but it's hard to see in them, so I took them off right now.
Why the 70s? What kind of went into that decision?
Honestly, I had this vest. My aunt gave it to me, and I was like, I hope there's like a theme day where I can do like 70s, or else I would never wear it. So I pieced together this outfit. This was also her shirt. I didn't have to buy anything. Like these glasses were from a Halloween costume when I was younger, so I had everything there. So
you've just been like waiting for Decades Day, and it finally came.
Yes.
And right in your wheelhouse. I know this whole week has been kind of spirit themed, and every week has been a theme. What's been your favorite theme so far?
That's a hard one. I like this theme the best probably because we had a like family holiday photo day where you can match with anyone. That one was like fun. Some were good, some were not so good. And I don't even remember what Monday was. Like it felt like so long ago. So today was definitely my favorite day because there's so many different decades. Like, there's the 80s, everyone's like in neon. And then there's actually a group of seniors who did the 70s, but 1770s, and they dressed as founding fathers, which is hilarious.
All right, so we go from that into volleyball. Of course, it is your senior season, senior year at Boardman. How much have you been trying to treasure every moment and trying to realize that it's the last go-round?
I've been thinking that like every second of every day, like my first volleyball game, I was like, okay, like this is senior year, you have to like really step it up, and every second you're on the court, you just have to never take anything for granted, because you never know when the last time you're going to play is. Like, even though you have a schedule and this is your last game, you really never know. There could be injuries, there could be, like something like COVID. So I just really have taken to, not take any moment for granted, because you never know.
What have been some of those favorite moments you've already gathered this year? I know, senior year, you can be a little bit more sentimental and remember stuff a little bit better for your own, keepsake. So what's been some of your favorite moments so far this year with the team?
Well, our last game against Mooney, that was definitely like something to remember. I will never forget. We went into 5 sets, and it was the first time this year we actually went into 5 sets. And our team bonding has been like really good. I love like all the little moments we have in the locker room for the games. Like, we listen to music, we make TikToks, and it's just so fun. Like, I'm always smiling like before the games. And I think just those little moments in the locker room are something I'm never going to forget.
I mean, let's talk about that Mooney game real quick. You guys are down 2-0, lose the first 2 sets. What were some of the conversations that you guys had and Coach Birch had in the timeouts and in between sets to really get you guys ready to go and win 3 in a row?
So after that second set, we were just like, we were all kind of like worked up, a little nervous, because, Mooney's our big rival, and we didn't obviously want to lose in 3 to them. So we had to step it up. We kind of all like took like deep like yoga breaths, we say, Coach Krebs yoga breaths, and we just relaxed, had a fresh new mindset, forgot about everything bad that happened the past 2 sets, and basically just came out with a fresh mindset, ready to go. We know we wanted to win, so we wanted to show that we wanted to win more than they did.
As a middle blocker on the team, a lot of responsibility goes on you to be the first line of defense and really control the net. How much have you grown in your own skills as a middle blocker over the years?
Well, I think this year has definitely been like my biggest year of blocking, like statistic wise. Ever since I was like, when I started playing volleyball in 7th grade, I knew that like I had the height advantage and the length advantage of blocking. But really, last year and this year, during practice, we worked on specific drills like for blocking and hitting, like right at the net. And I think just doing a couple of those, like a couple of days for practice, really has helped me. Because even during the game, like if I block it and it like tips and goes out of bounds, I know right away I have to turn my hand to make it like go straight down. And I've been really motivated to get a lot of blocks, because I've looked at max reps on like the conference top performers, and I'm the second place for number of blocks in the conference. So I've been really striving to get that first place mark.
You bring up a good point. Back even in middle school, you kind of knew that you were going to be a taller person. And did that ever put any pressure on you in the volleyball world to say, like, I have to be a middle blocker and I have to be good at this because I am tall?
Yeah, it definitely has had a lot of pressure on me. And because obviously I know there's girls taller than me. And I mean, I look at even like the, college athletes, they're, way over 6 feet tall. But like for my competition, I also know there's going to be girls that are taller than me, that are stronger than me. And back in middle school, I was not the strongest. I mean, I'm still not the strongest, but I definitely have gained more muscle in my arms. So it was just kind of like the aspect of, I'm a little bit like nervous. I'm kind of like stressed out, because I definitely know I'm going to be up against girls against the net who they might be the same height as me, but they're a lot stronger and they'll be able to like power over me. So that's kind of just been my motivation.
All right, so outside of height, for the casual volleyball fan, what kind of things did you have to grow to be good at as a blocker? What kind of things did you have to learn, and what kind of things do you think you've really excelled at as far as skill sets in the middle?
For like blocking, you definitely have to like adjust like in the moment is what I would say. Your hands have to be like wide, and sometimes you have to be open more. Like if the hitter you're going against like is really good at getting around you, you have to like be wider and just try to like it's really hard because everything changes like right in the moment. You know, you go up and it could be right in your hands and you don't have to move. It could be like off to the side a little bit and you have to like adjust your hands, tilt them and push them more over the net instead of just having them up like with the net. And like hitting wise, it's all about timing, because I know I'll get really frustrated if my setter like has this perfect set and I hit it into the net because I messed up my timing. So I definitely, like, if we do hitting lines in practice, I definitely really concentrate on the timing and like the length of like my steps to get that perfect approach right to the ball.
What's the favorite moment in volleyball? Is it a kill? Is it a block? What's the best feeling that you have in the volleyball world?
Kills and blocks are both like really good feelings, but personally I like the block better, especially like if it's a really good hitter and it's a hard hit and it just goes right to you and it's a solo block, right to you, you get it right down. That's the best thing ever. I turn around and immediately like throw my hands up and scream at my teammates.
Yeah, volleyball is so energetic. Talk about this team, how much energy they have, and what makes them unique from other teams that you've been on.
Well, I think what makes us unique is this year we have a lot of special like relationships, and our team bonding, like I said, is just like through the roof. We know each other really well outside of volleyball. And I think that alone like lets us have more energy than any other team. And on the court, like we know we all want to like play like together. We know we're in this together. So we want to make it a good time for everyone. And I think that just like plays into our energy, that we have like confidence and trust for each other. We've gotten better with that. And we had a lot of fun in our last game. So we said, okay, we want to feel like this all the time. So let's just make it even better.
All right, so we know that all the characteristics of a team kind of reflect the coach. So I want to talk about Coach Birch and what she's meant to you and how much she's been able to really let you grow. This is her first year to have someone from freshman to senior year because it's her fourth year as the program.
Yeah.
So what's it been like being under Coach Birch?
I mean, it's been wonderful. She's like a really sweet person, is very kind, and she knows like what she's doing in the volleyball aspect. And I've had her as a teacher before for art, and she's always like been there for me. It's easy to trust her, like outside of volleyball too, like in the classroom. You know, if you're having a problem with an assignment, she'll be there for you right over your shoulder, helping you. She knows all the ins and outs of like the digital art, and I've always looked up to that. And volleyball wise, she's been there for me. Obviously, as a freshman, I was like a little scared to enter like the high school sports realm. But Coach Birch, like, she has a friendly face and her personality shines, and it just makes me happy to like be around her. And she's definitely like helped me personally with volleyball too. Like, we'll do specific drills in practice that pertain to like things I do like as a hitter, and I can really like look into it and like take it in and excel it in the game.
All right, you use sweet and kind to describe her, but I know there has to be some moments in practice that she gets fired up with you guys. What's one thing that you know if you do this or if a teammate does this, it's going to get Coach Birch a little worked up?
I'd say laziness. Like one time we were peppering at the beginning of practice, everyone was just kind of like, you know, dilly-dallying around like with their pepper, like it wasn't aggressive. And if you shank the ball, like if someone would shank a ball and they walk to get it, like that really like got to her. Like she kind of got at us for that. Like we have to, you know, always be like aggressive and not be lazy. Like you have to, you know, be physically like running around and always trying your best.
Is there one quote or saying that she has said over the years that has really stuck with you guys?
I'm trying to think. She says a lot of like good things, and they all just kind of like, they're all floating in my mind, but there's like, it's like a variety. So I can't really like pinpoint one exact thing. I feel like she's like good at motivating people, and with that, I feel like there's not always just one thing you can say. I mean, I'm sure there's something, but right now I just can't think of it. But I know there's like so many, like it's a huge variety of motivation that she's.
What teammate do you think could do the best Coach Birch impression?
Oh boy. I would probably say Gia, because honestly, I see like some similarities in Gia and Coach Birch sometimes, and I feel like Gia could get it on.
All right, obviously Coach Birch is a teacher. How nice is it to have a coach that is in school with you, and if you ever have a problem during the day, or like you said, you're struggling with an assignment, her door is always open, and you don't have to wait until practice to see her.
Yeah, it's very convenient to have her in the building, and like, if you ever need anything, just go right down to her room. Everyone knows where she is, and you're not really like disrupting anything unless she's talking to the class, because most of the time in art class you're sitting at the computer like doing like personal work yourself. So the teacher like has time, which is nice that Coach Birch is an art teacher, because you'll have more time like with people like outside, like the volleyball girls. If they ever need anything, like she'll be available.
How artistic of a person are you? Do you like art, or is it something that you're passionate about?
Yeah, I honestly really like art. I like the digital art world and not like drawing and sculpting. And actually last year, I'm unfortunately not in an art class this year because my schedule was too full. But last year I was in graphics, and I actually won multiple like awards. I won the second place Scholastic Art Award for this digital design I made of Chase Claypool. And some of my work was in like the art show we have here. And I also won like a contest for like the state of Ohio was like a non-violence thing. I had to like make a quote and just kind of like add graphic design in the back. So I really enjoy art. I've always been kind of artsy, but again, on the digital hand.
Your schedule is full, like you said. So what does your schedule look like this senior year? I know a lot of people like to take it easy their senior year. They've already had their stuff taken care of. Obviously not the case for you. What kind of classes are you taking this year?
Well, I have a few like easier classes, but I didn't want to go like too easy on myself, because I always like I'm up for a challenge. So I'm in astronomy, which is like an easier class, kind of like more laid back, but it's also interesting because I'm interested in the stars. So I have that. And then I have AP Literature, which sounds like a hard class, but English is my favorite subject. So I'm really like focused in there. I love to write poems, essays. I know it sounds crazy, but I love to write. And then I have Spanish 4. I was debating on taking that this year, but it's our teacher's last year. She's going to retire after this year. So I wanted to be there because she's a fun person to be around. Miss Schobel, she's great at what she does. That class is kind of challenging, but I've always been like decent at Spanish, so it's not a huge struggle. And then I have Sociology, and that class is really fun. It's a discussion-based class. You basically just talk about any issues in society. Like it's just, you have to like be in the classroom to really experience that. And then I have AP Psychology, and I was going to take normal psychology, but I want to major in early childhood education. So I feel like taking like the AP Psych class could help me, know how like, the brain works, especially for students and, younger kids. I feel like that would really help me for my future. So that's why I took that class. And then I have calculus, and I really hate math. But I didn't want to drop down because, like I said, I want to give myself a challenge. And I feel like if I really study and focus, it won't be so bad.
As soon as you said English, I was going to be like, I bet she doesn't like math, because there are not a lot of people that are good at both.
Yeah.
But back to English, you said you like to write. What's your favorite thing to write? Is it fiction? Do you like to write creative writing? Do you like to write poetry? Do you like to write those research papers? What's your favorite thing to kind of put in your brain and write down on paper?
I really like creative writing because you don't have a specific prompt, and it's easy when you can write about anything you want. Like sometimes if you have to do like a research assignment, you're not really like writing about what you want to write about. But I really like poetry. Like I just submitted an assignment last night. We had to write an elegy, and it's similar to poetry, but you needed like all these specific like literary devices. But it honestly wasn't a struggle for me because I'm good at like rhyming the lines of my poem. So I read it over and over again. And I'm like, okay, this sounds really good. So definitely like poems and creative writing is my favorite.
If you had to write a story about one of your teammates, who do you think would be the easiest person to write about? Like, you know them the best, and you'd be able to write a 5-page hard-hitting report on them.
I'd say Cindy Yager. It's easy. I mean, she has like every aspect. She's super smart. She always knows like what's going on like with our friends and like the drama. Like she's the one like that knows it all. So, and I feel like it'd be like just really easy to write about her because she has an outstanding personality. I can go on and on about her.
And I know English classes, you have to read a lot of literature, and whether it be books or the classic poetry, Shakespeare, stuff like that. What has been your favorite thing in the English classes in your career that you guys have been assigned to read?
It was last year in AP English. We read The Great Gatsby. And at first I was like, I feel like I don't know if I'm going to like this. But then we did like some things about like what the book is about. And we watched the movie too. I ended up loving it. Like I would sit there and watch it. Like I was so sad that we had to move on to another book. I like felt attached to it.
Who has been the best teacher that you've had in your career? I'm putting you on your spot. If you had to pick one teacher that has meant the most to you, what teacher would you pick?
I would pick Mrs. Safarik. She was my freshman year English teacher, and she was also my basketball coach in 8th grade. I actually asked her to write my college recommendation letter because, I mean, ever since 8th grade, I loved her as a coach. She's just really easy to connect to, and she has a fun personality. She shares like similar aspects like and things that I like. We share those. And as a teacher, she was really understanding, like kind of similar to Coach Birch. Like if you had problems, she was right there for you. Like kind of like an easy shoulder to lean on. I mean, she's just wonderful. She's kind of been like my motivation and the person I look up to most because I want to be a teacher when I'm older. And, you know, she's involved in the sports world and she has like young kids. And I just really looked up to her and kind of like want to live her lifestyle.
All right, Kimmy, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to shout out your support system and all the people that have been there for you throughout the years.
Definitely all my family members, my parents, my brother, my grandparents, my boyfriend, my coaches, Coach Danello too, Coach Steve, not just volleyball coaches, all my coaches, basketball, softball. Those are the people that I look up to. They're just my role models and they motivate me to never quit.
All right, Kimmy, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today in the middle of your school day. We appreciate the time. We love the get up. Go be a hippie for the rest of the day, and we'll see you again real soon.
Start.
Anthony Hartwig here with a West Branch girls soccer player profile. I am joined by Maria Manley. Maria, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
You're welcome.
And, you know, when I heard your story, you know, last week, and it was one of those ones where I had to message Coach Fico really quick. Yeah. And it was one that I really thought needed to be told, needed to be heard. And to do it respect, I thought the good idea would just be to have you tell it and to have you kind of share your perspective of what you've been going through. And then I'll obviously come back and ask you some questions afterwards. But I want to give you the floor and let you just kind of share what your last year has kind of been like and to share your story and obviously where you are now.
Okay. So I had a baby in February 18th, and 42 hours later after I had the baby, I had a seizure. And then I had 5 hours of seizures. And then after that, I was put in a medicated coma. And then when I woke up, I was paralyzed. So then I had a ventilator and I had a trach. And then my doctor, Dr. Elmers from the Cleveland Clinic, he wanted me to go down to this place called the Shepherd Center in Atlanta. And they basically focus on spinal cord injuries. So like a lot of their injuries were from like car accidents or like work-related injuries. And but they did have what I have. I got diagnosed with MOG. which is a long thing. It stands for myelin oligodendrocyte glycoprotein. And they did actually have one person down there previously that had that. So my doctor wanted me to go down there so that I was able to walk and move again. And I was there for 4 months, and it's the first 2 months kind of started off with, I was an inpatient, and basically you had therapy like all day, and they also had a teacher there that would help you with school so you could finish school. And they had a rec therapist, they had a physical therapist, they had a occupational therapist and speech therapist and counseling too, all these therapies, and basically helping you to kind of move again and walk again and do what you could all do before your injury. And then after those 2 months, I was put into day program, which is where you are basically in a kind of like a home setting. So you are in your own room. You don't have like nurses checking up on you all the time. You are basically taking care of yourself by yourself, and you are taking your medicine by yourself, and taking all your showers by yourself, and cooking, cleaning, and just basically getting you ready to go back home. And during those last 2 months, I had the baby with me, and she was in a pack and play, and she got to stay with me in the room, and I got to take care of her. And you still go to therapy during the day, but after your therapy's all done, you get to go back to your apartment and eat dinner and take care of the baby for the rest of the night, and you can watch TV with her, play games, whatever you want to do for the rest of the night. And then I got to come back home. My last day there was June 30th, and I got to come back home. And then when I came back home, I was basically able to walk again. So then I just kind of started playing soccer and going to still a lot of therapies here. So I still have therapies, and I still get treatments once a month to make sure that this does not happen again. And I still have lots of doctor's appointments and stuff, but basically my life is kind of back to normal now.
You go through all that. Obviously, you had to have something that was just driving you to get through all the hard days, and keeping you kind of positive. What were some of the things that were staying in your mind to keep you going through all that hardship?
I just kind of, wanted to be able to go back home and be able to walk again, and at least see like all my friends, and then also like, take care of the baby.
How much were your friends able to come see you at all during all that time, or were you pretty isolated?
So my one friend, she's like my best friend. Let's see, I think it might have been in June. Yeah, in June, they always go to Florida, but she wanted to make sure she got to stop down and see me. So her and her other friend came down, and they made sure to come see me, so at least I got to see them. And sometimes they would do video duo calls with me, and they would FaceTime me, and everyone would still keep in contact with me. So I did get to see them, and I did get to meet a lot of people down there, and I still keep in contact with them, and they're like all lifelong friends now.
All right, let's get to, now you get to get back with this team, you get to get back home, and you get to play your first soccer game since all that went down.
Yeah.
What was that moment like for you?
It was really exciting. Everyone was cheering. I got lots of hugs from people, and yeah, it was just a good time.
Did you ever kind of imagine that you could get back on the soccer field, back on those rough days, and that those 4 months that you had to spend, trying to get back to just a normal life?
No, I never actually expected that I would ever be even to walk again. So I didn't expect to even be back on the field.
How much do you love soccer? How much did getting back on that field really mean to you, and being able to do what you were doing before?
It was just, it just made me feel so good about myself that I just worked hard enough to get to where I am today, and that I had a lot of support behind me, and that I really have not much to worry about. I just know that, we know what to do if this happens again, and um, everyone in my community has supported me and helped me through this time.
Yeah, I want to talk about the community and the West Branch community. We always talk about it every time we talk to a West Branch athlete, and it's usually a lot more of a less serious situation when they're getting behind people. They're just rooting you on as you're playing a sport. But how much did this community really get behind you while you were going through this much more serious situation that you were getting through?
Yeah, so they did a lot. They made shirts for me. They did a lot of like sometimes they would make group videos, make me signs, and make me presents and bring over gifts for the baby. And they would just always give me like get well soon messages, and they've been praying for me and all that. And they're just really a very, very good community. And one of like our students, her and a couple other people got in a car accident, and she's in some conditions right now, but they're all backing her up too. And it's kind of nice to see them do it for someone else, and that I'm helping that person too. And that like it's just cool to see that that's what they did for me too. So I just want to do that for that person too. And we're making her shirts. We're all going to wear them to school on Friday, and because it's her favorite color. And just keep her in our prayers, and keep support behind her. And just like I just know that like if anything ever happens to anyone, we just all know that our community is behind us, and everyone is so nice and amazing. It's just amazing to have this awesome community.
I know when you got to play that game, the most important face that was there was your daughter.
Yeah.
And we saw the pictures after the game with her. It was just a sweet moment. What did it mean to just be able to share that with her, and to be able to get back with her, and to be able to spend that moment with your daughter?
Yeah, it was so good. I'm glad she got to at least watch me play, even though she really doesn't know what's going on. But yeah, she's just I just love that she was there, and she at least got to see me play a sport that I hope she gets to play one day, and she gets to love.
And I hear that wasn't even the end of your fantastic week, because you got voted homecoming queen.
Yeah.
A little bit later. What did that mean to you to be voted that, and to have that moment on a Friday night to be crowned the tiara, and to be able to call yourself homecoming queen?
Yeah, that was really good. Like we were all crying at the end. Like we were all just so happy, and everyone was giving me so many hugs. My parents were so surprised. Everyone was just so happy for that to happen. So
When you're going through things like this, I know future goals kind of really get put in the minds that you want to drive yourself to see yourself be able to do things in the future. What are some of your future goals that you want to do after you graduate high school, and some of the things that you see yourself doing in the next couple of years?
So my future plan is to go to college. I don't know what college yet, but probably somewhere definitely close to home. I would love to go to YSU, because that's where my mom, dad, and brother have gone. So I would love to go to YSU. And definitely study nursing, because I have just had so much medical things done to me that I understand a lot now. Either nursing or, a physical therapist, because I just know that all therapists are the ones that help me get to where I am today.
Was nursing and physical therapy something you kind of wanted to do before all this happened? Or is it like now that all this happened to you and you've had so much incredible help through the medical field that it has just driven you to want to be that for someone else?
So I've always wanted to be a nurse. I always watched like Doc McStuffins when I was little and watch her help all her toys or whatever they were. And I just loved that she would help them. And I just loved the idea of doing that to people. And then physical therapy kind of just became a new thing after all this happened to me.
I want to let you talk about your family real quick. And I'm sure your family was a rock for you during this whole experience. What is it about your family that's so special to you, and how much did their support and their encouragement really get you through this whole situation?
I love that my aunt and my brother would take care of the baby, and I knew that she was in a safe spot. And then my mom and dad always wanted to be with me, and they wanted to be in Atlanta with me. I don't know if I mentioned, but the place I was at too was in Atlanta. And so my mom and dad always wanted to be with me, but they just supported me through a lot. They supported me through the pregnancy. We were all getting prepared to take care of the baby and having me take care of the baby, but we just never expected this to happen. But they were always behind my back, and they would always, push me, make sure I would get to where I am today. And I'm just grateful to have them.
Although we never hope this kind of adversity on anyone, we know it happens. We know it happens to people all the time.
Yes.
What kind of advice would you give to someone that runs into a situation like this or adversity of this magnitude to get through it and to get back to their day-to-day lives?
I would just say that everything happens for a reason, even though it might not be good. Everything happens for a reason. And if it's not good, just know that, it's just, you're going to get through anything. You can get through anything, even if it's so difficult. You just push yourself to get through it and never give up.
And I can't let you go without talking about Coach Fico and what she's meant to you in your life, because she's the one that kind of brought this story to our attention. And she's the one that, made us, made sure that we were able to tell it. So what has she meant to you, and what kind of things has she taught you throughout your soccer career at West Branch?
Yeah, so she actually was not going to come back this year, but she ended up coming back, which we were all very, very happy that she did come back. And she just, she's always pushed me, helped me through everything, and she's so supportive, and she's always smiling, and we all love that about her, that she's always so happy. And then when she does get mad during games, that she's mad, because it's just, don't mess with her, because you can just tell when she's mad because she's just not smiling. But I think there's only been a couple times where I've never seen her not smile. But yeah, she's always pushed me. She's always sent me get well soon text messages, and always supported me. She's always helped me. And I'm pretty sure she's the one that gave us the diaper duty, which is very, very helpful. And I'm very glad that she did give us that.
What was her message to you that night that you got to play in the game? And what were some of the things that she told you as she put you in?
Well, she did give me a hug, and she was just saying how proud she is of me, and how she's so glad that I got to where I am today.
All right. We don't want to keep you long. We thank you so much for the time. Thank you so much for telling your story, and kind of hopefully this is an inspiration to someone out there that hears it that's going through something. Hopefully it's not as serious as what you had to go through, but if it is, hopefully this kind of helps them through. We thank you again for your time. We wish you the best of luck in the rest of your endeavors, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for Running Point. That's a great way to end it. Great inspiring story of a girl that just worked so hard to get back on the soccer field. But that'll do it. Casual sports coming up next from 2 to 3, Power Hour from 3 to 4, and we'll see you tomorrow from 12 to 2 on Running Point. Brought to you